First person I'm joining up is, I think you might know him. Excuse me. So what happens when you have a lot of speakers? I'm going to make it really simple. I'm just going to do it from the heart. Governor Westmore. Governor Westmore is the first African-American governor of the state of Maryland in our over 200-year history. He was the CEO of the Robinson Foundation, the largest anti-poverty organization in the United States. He wrote his best-selling book that has become mandatory reading for every child across America about opportunity. And unlike Hamas, he was a real soldier. He fought in Afghanistan and led men into battle. It is my pleasure to introduce you my friend, the great governor of the state of Maryland, Westmore.
Good morning. Shalom. Shalom. Ron, bless you and thank you. Thank you for the leadership to the entire JCRC of Greater Washington. Thank you for bringing us here together this afternoon. And I'm here to say very clearly, we are here to stand with the state of Israel. To recognize the right of Israel to exist, to recognize the right for Israel to defend itself, to recognize the right of Israelis to live without fear. But today, it's not just time for us to stand with Israel. It's also time for us to stand unequivocally against Hamas. I've led soldiers in combat. I've seen not just the direct, but the indirect impacts of terrorism, the collateral damage that it leaves. Terrorists target civilians, and that's what Hamas did. Terrorists hold entire families hostage, and that's what Hamas did. Terrorists slaughter innocent women, children, and the elderly in cold blood. And that's what Hamas did. So if you stand with Israel, you stand against Hamas. And if you stand with the Palestinian people and their right to self-determination, you also stand against Hamas. So let me be clear. Progress for Hamas is not Israelis and Palestinians living peacefully together. Progress for Hamas is not self-determination or knowing that every child has the right to grow up without fear. Progress for Hamas is destruction. And that's why Hamas is not and will never be our partner in this important work. President Biden has been very clear. The United States will always have Israel's back. And I want to be very clear. The state of Maryland stands in lockstep. Now, I know that our solidarity does not erase the pain of these attacks. My heart is broken and continues to break for the victims and their families. And it's in times like these, when the pain is so deep and the pain is so real, that I turn to the place that has always offered me solace and the place that has offered me peace. And that's my faith. I turn to my faith. I've spent the past days reaching out to faith leaders. I've spoken with rabbis, I've spoken with imams, I've spoken with ministers, I spoke with my own minister. And in every conversation, two things have been very clear. First, that the attacks by Hamas last weekend were horrifying and defy every common principle of morality. And second, that we must do everything that we can to come together, to condemn this violence, to work and to build security for everyone in the region. And that means standing against Hamas and all who aid or support their vile mission. That means standing with the Jewish people, both at home and also around the world. That means recognizing that the innocent victims and their families will need to be supported, uplifted, and prayed over now and tomorrow. And that means rooting out anti-Semitism, anti-Muslim hate, and fighting bigotry in all of its wicked forms. Buried beneath this very plaza, there's a time capsule. It contains a Bible that once belonged to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And if we could retrieve that book, and if we could read it together, I would turn to the third section of the Hebrew Bible, the book of Psalms, which reads, "From the ends of the earth, I call to you. I call as my heart grows faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I." Together we gather in solidarity. Together we gather in peace. Today we remain committed to a long-term peace. And I speak for my entire state when I say, we stand with Israel. So let's keep marching. Let's keep marching towards that higher rock. God bless you. Shalom. And thank you so much for all you do.